Hanrei chose yes because no was an answer for people with bedrooms. The red text brightened over his wounded palm. For one breath, the reeds, irrigation water, distant lanterns, and shouting men all turned thin and colorless, like a cheap copy of the world had been laid behind the real one. Then the window changed. No thunder, no immortal voice, no helpful old man with a beard explaining which button meant "don't die in a ditch." Hanrui lay in the reeds with blood in his sleeve and considered filing a complaint with Heaven's customer service department. The searchers shouted above him. He tried to move. His ribs gave a clean, immediate refusal. The stolen hook blade lay under his forearm, cold from the water, wrapped in weeds. The handle was slick. His cut palm had started bleeding again. "Help," he whispered. The ledger didn't answer. "Fine. Of course." Help was probably a premium feature. Hanrui stared at the one command that looked useful. Assess. He didn't know whether to speak it, touch it, or think it. He thought it hard enough to make his skull hurt. Red light moved. The world grew threads, not many. The ravine above him held several dim red lines tangled through the dirt, the dead storehouse attendant, and the path where he had crawled. One line clung to his cut palm. Another ran up the slope after the two men who had come looking for him. Labels formed when he focused. Majin, outer disciple. Chi condensation 2. Recent harm, participated in unlawful body disposal. Claim strength, unstable. Hanrui exhaled through his teeth. Unstable was an unpleasant word. It meant useful, but only if he did something clever before someone else did something permanent. Behind Majin's thread was another thread, finer and harder to see. It stretched up toward the disciplined lamps on the mountain, then vanished behind a gray film. Wei Tao. Patron shadow detected. Insufficient proof. Naturally, Hanrui said. The ledger had the soul of an accountant. It could see a murder conspiracy and still ask for paperwork. The shouting moved farther away, then closer again. Someone above cursed Majin for losing his blade. Majin cursed back with feeling. The blade under Hanrui's arm became a problem with a handle. If he kept it, Majin could say Hanrui attacked him. If he dropped it in plain sight, someone else could find it and write a story around it. If he threw it into the channel, he lost the only weapon he had and, worse, one of the few facts tied to the ravine. Facts mattered now. Hanrui wrapped the hook blade in reeds and shoved it beneath a flat stone at the edge of the irrigation channel. He marked the place by the split root above it and the crooked post beside the water. If he lived, he could come back for it. If he died, Majin could enjoy losing two things tonight. Hanrui pushed himself upright. The world narrowed. For a moment, there was only pain, the taste of mud, and the thin whistle of breath between his teeth. Broken meridians sounded elegant until they were yours. In practice, they meant his body treated every movement as unauthorized activity. He moved anyway. Private places were where people killed you. Public places were where they pretended first. He needed pretending. The irrigation channel ran along the lower fields beneath the outer mountain. Hanrui followed it by touch more than sight. Dawn thinned the sky from black to iron. The sect bells rang again, 3 measured notes this time, and the mountain answered by waking in layers. Laborers came first, carrying buckets and hoe handles, their robes shorter and rougher than the gray outer disciple robes. Then kitchen servants crossed a bridge with steam rising from covered pails. A line formed near a low courtyard, paved with old stone. The smell of rice gruel drifted through the cold air. Hanrui's stomach remembered it belonged to a body, and made a small, traitorous sound. The courtyard had three useful features: a crowd, a steward with an ink board, and a black waist-high stone under the eaves, carved with the same river mark painted on the searcher's lantern. When Han Rui looked at it, the ledger gave a faint red flicker. Outer tally stone. Neutral record possible. Possible was better than dead. Han Rui stepped into the ration line. The line didn't move away at once. People were tired, cold, and used to ignoring trouble that didn't have their name on it. Then the woman in front of him saw his bloody sleeve. Her eyes widened. Someone whispered, "Han Rui?" That did it. Heads turned with the ugly speed of people receiving free entertainment. The courtyard went quiet. Han Rui kept his hands open at his sides. Open hands were important. He had learned that in modern parking lots, bank lobbies, and one security training video that had mostly been about not being sued. A kitchen boy no older than 12 stepped forward with a cloth in his hand. "Shicheng, your face." "Don't," Hanrui said softly. The boy stopped. "Good. No need to make one helpful child into evidence." The steward at the inkboard frowned. He had a square face, gray eyebrows, and the irritated dignity of a man who had counted rice for 30 years and considered murder before breakfast poor manners. "Outer disciple Hanrui," the steward said. "You were marked absent from punishment labor?" "I was buried," Hanrui said. "It delayed me." That earned a ripple from the line. Not laughter, exactly. More the sound people made when humor passed too close to danger. The steward's brush hovered. Then a voice cut across the courtyard. "There!" Majin came through the eastern gate with his right hand wrapped in cloth. The lantern bearer from the ravine followed him, pale and breathing hard. Majin's belt was empty where the hook blade should have hung. His eyes found Han Rui. For a moment his expression showed pure surprise. Then he remembered there were witnesses and turned it into anger. "Little thief," Majin said. "You should have stayed where you were put." Several people heard that. Han Rui made a note of them. So did the ledger. Dim red marks sparked at the edge of his sight, one by one, above faces in the line. Most were useless, hostile, frightened, unofficial. But not nothing. Majin crossed the courtyard. Han Rui didn't retreat. This was one of the worst decisions he'd made across 2 lives, and he'd once replied, all to a company-wide email, while angry. Majin grabbed his arm. Pain lit through Han Rui's shoulder. "Minor." Han Rui almost laughed. Heaven wanted better paperwork. "Senior brother Ma," he said, louder than necessary. "If I'm accused of theft and murder, please take me to the law hall." Majin's grip tightened. "Shut your mouth." "I'd like to," Han Rui said. "Every word costs a rib. But the law hall has records, yes? Wei Shixiong will want this cleared properly." The courtyard breathed in. Wei Tao's name had weight. It pulled attention even from people who had been trying very hard not to have attention. Majin's face changed. Not much. Enough. Han Rui saw it. The steward saw it. The tally stone, if heaven was feeling cooperative, saw it too. Ma Zhen dragged him toward the eastern gate. Han Rui let his knees fail. It wasn't difficult. They'd been eager to resign since the irrigation channel. He dropped hard onto the stones, and Ma Zhen had to stop or haul him like a sack. Han Rui folded one arm across his ribs and turned his face toward the steward. "Steward," he said, "please mark that I requested lawful handling." The steward's brush didn't move. His eyes did. "Good." Majin kicked Han Rui in the side. White light burst through his vision. For a second, he was back in the alley, shoe on wet pavement, breath gone, someone standing over him while the world made a receipt of his last bad choices. Then stone pressed against his cheek, and Ma Jen was saying, "Thieves don't request law." The ledger answered in red. There it was, valid. A small mean joy opened in Han Rui's chest. It had no business being there. His ribs were broken or close to it. His face was in courtyard dirt. Ma Jen could still kill him before anyone important decided paperwork mattered. None of that stopped the joy. The system hadn't saved him. It had only confirmed that being hurt could be converted into leverage. Ma Jen leaned down and seized the front of Han Rui's robe. "Where's my blade?" "Senior brother," Han Rui said. "Your blade's missing too?" Ma Jen's eyes narrowed. Han Rui tasted blood and kept going. "Kang Lu dead. Me buried. Your blade missing. Spirit stones planted. Wei Shixiong has had a busy night." The lantern bearer made a small sound. Ma Jen hit him. Not a kick this time. A fist across the mouth, fast and badly controlled. Han Rui's head snapped sideways. The world tilted. Someone in the ration line cried out, and then swallowed the rest of the sound. More red text burned at the edge of Han Rui's sight. Ma Jen realized the crowd was too quiet. He straightened. "This disciple killed storehouse attendant Kang Lu," he announced. "He stole sect spirit stones and fled punishment. I'm taking him to senior brother Wei for questioning." The words were almost good. Almost. Han Rui pushed himself up onto one elbow. The movement made his stomach roll. He did it anyway, because lying face down made a man look finished, and he needed unfinished. "Law Hall," he said. Ma Jen looked down at him. Han Rui met his eyes. "If I killed Kang Lu, let the Law Hall record it. If I stole from the storehouse, let the storehouse records say so. If Wei Tao found the truth before both halls did, then he's more efficient than the sect." That wasn't a safe sentence. He knew it before the last word left his mouth. Ma Jen lifted his hand again. The steward said, "Ma Jen." Only the name. Quietly. It stopped the blow halfway. For a heartbeat, the courtyard held a balance. Ma Jen's anger, Steward Shin's brush, the tally stone under the eaves, the ration line pretending not to look and looking with every part of itself. Han Rui lay under all of it and understood something useful. Public cruelty had edges. Private cruelty didn't. Ma Jen lowered his hand. Then he smiled. "Fine," he said. "Law Hall." He caught Han Rui by the back of the robe and hauled him upright. The movement tore a sound out of Han Rui before he could bite it down. People looked away. The kitchen boy looked furious and helpless, which was a familiar age to be. Han Rui didn't lean on him. He leaned on Ma Jen. That annoyed Ma Jen enough to be worth the pain. As they crossed the courtyard, the red window formed again, smaller than before. It floated beside Han Rui's vision, neat and pitiless. Han Rui read the options while Ma Jen dragged him toward formal trouble. One breath of qi sounded like survival. Medicine sounded like sense. An apology sounded delicious in a way that made him distrust himself. The patron thread sounded like putting his hand inside a closing door to learn who owned the hinges. 4 bad options. He'd never been rich before.